Home ownership ain't shit. I just recently bought my first house by myself at 25. I just moved in the house and things have gone to shit. For starters, I nearly flooded my garage. The water heater is not heating. The whole front yard is fucked up. My refrigerator ain't refrigerating. And I still haven't bought in furniture. I'm sleeping on an air mattress right now. And I broke out in tears, not because I'm sad, but because out of frustration, because I knew these things were coming. I just didn't think they were gonna come this quickly. And I didn't think they were gonna fucking topple each other like they did. Don't get me wrong, I do not regret being a homeowner and buying my house. It's just, it's rough out here. It's a lot, and I'm doing it by myself, and I'm trying the best I can. I'm taking one day at a time, but some days it's just...
What's going on, YouTube? It's your favorite YouTuber, A Difference Perspective, and I am back with another video. Before I get into today's video, I would like to thank you guys for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to my videos. I really appreciate that. But let's get right into the subject. Today's subject, I wanted to talk about the bad side of home ownership, how things could go bad, at least in the US, how things could go bad. I'm not sure how other countries' home ownership goes in other countries, so feel free to comment down below if you want to and explain that for how other countries might go, or your situation in America. If you want to explain that as well, you can comment that as well. But I got some clips to further explain how home ownership can go bad, and then I'll get right back to you guys right after these clips.
Ever heard the term house poor? This is an example of a home, lovely home, good size. The problem is that it needs repair everywhere. Needs new flooring, needs new carpet, needs a new roof, needs new siding. This is what I would call the owner was probably house poor. It means that yes, they could afford their mortgage, yes, they live in a lovely neighborhood, but they couldn't afford to maintain it. So as much as we talk about home ownership and how great it is, you need to make sure that you purchase a home that you can afford to maintain it. So even if your lender is giving you $300,000, you might go $250,000, $275,000 just so that you can afford to maintain the home. I know that's a tough call, but being house poor doesn't allow you to maintain the home, and when you go to sell it, you're not going to get the price you want because it hasn't been maintained. So, food for thought.
So buying a house has ruined me financially.
Home ownership is not the right move for so many people, and I think so many people are house poor, and it limits them financially in so many ways that, like, we have to just kill this notion in America that home ownership is the only road to financial freedom. Like, if you're fortunate enough to have extra money, you know, let's say that 20% money for your down payment, and you think because your mortgage broker said that you can afford the house that's 40%, the mortgage is 40% of your gross monthly income, you can't afford that house. If you occasionally hear banging above me, it's because we're having our roof replaced. $18,000, vanished, gone. A couple years ago, we had to replace the sewer lateral and a new trap. $28,000, boom, vanished, gone. We had to update HVAC, $14,000, boom, vanished, gone. All told, we've spent about $65,000 on shit that wasn't like cosmetic stuff or choices we've made in the 4 years that we've owned our home. Is it the right move for us? Probably, because we're fortunate enough to be able to cover these, you know, unexpected expenses, but they're not unexpected. This shit happens. If you buy a house and you check out that inspection report and you know, hey, that roof is 20 years old, just know that you're gonna have to replace that shit in the next 5 years. You gotta budget another $15,000 to $25,000 for a new roof. So we did, and we were fortunate enough to do so, but renting gives you financial flexibility and the freedom to move more freely. If we had to move and the market was in a dip, we couldn't afford to sell our house right now. We have a 2.8% interest rate. If we had to buy another house right now, what are we looking at? 6.5%? Our mortgage today on the exact same house, same down payment, same price, everything would be almost double what our current payment is because of today's interest rates. Okay, so, you know, don't think that you can afford a house because the mortgage broker says, oh yeah, I can get you approved up to 40% of your gross monthly income, because you cannot afford that house. And like this woman said, it could ruin you financially.
We've now entered into an era where if you want to buy a house for the first time, you're going to have to accept being house poor. Being house poor is when a substantial amount of your income, more than 30%, is going towards your house expenses. The average salary for 35 to 44-year-olds in the US is about $63,000. If we're using the general rule of thumb, you shouldn't be spending more than 30% of your gross pay on housing, and that includes all housing costs. Let's say you're making that $63,000 a year, pre-tax, mind you. That means you can afford approximately $1,500 in housing expenses every month. $1,500. That might be doable if you're able to find a home that costs less than $200,000 and your interest rate is about 6%. But of course, guess what the average home cost in the US is right now? It is double. It is $412,000. Let's say somehow you were able to get that 20% down. That means just your mortgage payment on a 6% interest rate would be about $2,000 a month. If you're making about $63,000 a year, that's about 40% of your gross pay. And keep in mind that 30% of your housing costs is inclusive of all housing costs. What people forget is when you buy a home, your mortgage is like the minimum that you're going to be paying on a monthly basis. You're also going to have utilities, you'll have insurance costs, you're going to have other costs associated with homeownership, and you should be saving a portion of the value of the home every single month for repairs. All of this is to say, if you're feeling like, holy crap, I feel like I'm never going to be able to buy a home unless I just literally only can afford to pay for my home. I genuinely don't know how the average American is doing it, because even as a high income earner, I'm looking at the housing market and I'm like, I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to afford to buy a house as a single woman who doesn't want to be house poor. And what I have had to come to terms with is, I suppose that's okay, because there are other ways to invest, there are other ways to build wealth. But it is frustrating because, like, I would like to have another cat, you know? But I'm not willing to move to the middle of nowhere America in order to be able to buy a $200,000 house. You know what I mean? So I guess it's just about prioritizing what's important to us, but it just feels like the American dream of being able to own property shouldn't be this out of reach. It shouldn't be this hard to be able to buy property.
Well, there you have it, guys. I mean, it's getting pretty bad out here, to the point where they even invented a term called house poor. I mean, there's gonna have to be a lot of adjustments going on, especially in the American housing market, because that's specifically what I'm talking about today. And even then, it might not be enough to keep you homeless. But I just wanted to relay that information to you guys today. I wanted to share my perspective on the American market, the American housing market. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Other than that, that's all I got for you today. You can watch, I got a whole bunch of other videos you guys can watch on my channel. Don't forget to tune into other videos as well. I cover different topics. Other than that, this has been a different perspective, and I'm out. Peace.